just need to come on here and say this because I'm really trying to keep myself calm right now. So I want to say I think my daughter has a sixth sense. My daughter, Gracious. So I've been arguing with their dad, for the past 2 days. I decided to leave a month ago because the relationship is very, very toxic. Like I said in my other video, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, but it's a lot of sexual abuse. I was raped before, molested as a child, all that stuff. I put myself in fucked up situations for money, because I was fucked up. And ultimately, when we met, you know, you getting to know somebody and you feel comfortable, and you pillow talking and stuff like that. He made me comfortable to think that I could share those fucked up moments or fucked up things or traumatic things that I've been through with him. And me not knowing that it wasn't for him to therefore, like, damn, I see what you've been through, let me love you the right way. It was, oh, let me use it as fuel against you. So we've been arguing non-fucking stop. He talking to me crazy. Oh, if you're not about to come stuff your mouth full of dick, bitch, stop talking to me. You a prostitute. You a hoe. You was out here fucking niggas for money. All this crazy shit, which never have I ever had sex with anybody for money. And I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say it until I die. I've never, ever had sex with anybody for money. The issue and why I ultimately decided to leave, amongst other things, the relationship was abusive. I done got black eyes. I done had my nose is crooked now. I done got beat when I was pregnant, dragged. Daughter done got taken away. Been left with nothing, taking everything from me and the kids, and just got out here with different females cheating on me. In his mind, oh, if somebody did something to me, can't no nigga tell him that, oh, well, I did this to your girl, so I should be able to do it too. So since I got raped before, he's tried to rape me multiple times. And if I didn't want to give him sex, it was, oh, he's climbing on top of me, using my hand to cover my face and hitting me in my face and trying to force himself on top of me. If I wasn't willing to give him sexual favors or to, give him oral, completely gaslight me, act like he don't see me, anything that you can think of. And this goes back to me, saying, me knowing and learning how to love myself, because you would think, oh, Asia, you're a pretty girl. Why would you even tolerate anything like that? And just the way everything happened so fast. Like, I barely knew this dude, which is my fault. I should have never opened myself and gave my body to somebody I barely even knew. But I got pregnant really quick, and I knew I wasn't going to get an abortion. And I also knew I didn't want to just be a baby mom, even though I would be his third baby mom. I knew I didn't want to be a baby mom. And honestly, I was embarrassed. It's just like somebody in my caliber. Like I said, I was I didn't say this. I was a Division I athlete. I trained professionally. Oh, I did say that in my other video. I trained professionally and everything. So, and I've even dealt with people of the same status, of that same caliber. So for me to therefore, lower my standards and mess with some random hood booger ass nigga, it's just like, damn, Asia, like, what are you going through, or what did you go through? And just a backstory. When I was living in California, after I graduated college, California is expensive, okay? And I went out there by myself with whatever I had. Like, whatever. I was still even having to borrow money from people when I was out there just to pay my rent. I had 4 jobs. I was working at I worked at Pink. I was working at Nike. I was a club promoter, and I worked as a dancer. Sorry, I needed to clear some space up. And I was working as a dancer at this club in San Diego, not a stripper, but like a go-go dancer or whatever. And it was really, really expensive out there. And I couldn't afford working as much as I did and trying to pursue a professional track career because you're running all day. So if I'm on my feet all day working, therefore when I'm running, I'm not going to be hitting times. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, on top of, um, I'm not afraid to admit that I like to have fun. Like, if I partied, I hung out and shit like that, whatever, but it was always manageable to where I never really let it interfere with my track stuff. But track was going bad and my head wasn't in it. I wasn't able to focus because my resources weren't aligned. And I feel like that was always my issue, not having like enough financial support. I really didn't need too much to family or that type of support. I really didn't really care too much for that. It was just always finances for me anytime I did play a sport. So boom, fast forward, I decided that maybe I should just move home and get my money up and then go back to California. So I decided to stay in Buffalo because Buffalo is where I went to college. I didn't want to come back to Rochester because I knew I know the type of person I am. I'm easily influenced. So it's just like, oh, I'm I'm easily influenced, and then I'll find excuses to still do the stuff I need to do. So here's an example. I'll go to a party on Friday and Saturday, and then I'll say, okay, well, I'll just drink more water on Sunday, or I'll train extra hard on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or I'll do 2 days for the whole week just to make up, So I was like, I wasn't fully focused. I started like, okay, well, I'm going to do some here, I'm going to do some here, but never truly committed. Okay, so I knew if I was in Rochester, it's easy for me to get distracted. So I decided to stay in Buffalo, and so I could still train in my college for free, because the coach I was working with in San Diego, she's like, okay, well, when we train for the second year, we're going to be charging you. And I'm like, I'm not even running good. My confidence in running has, plummeted or plummeled, whatever the word is. So I'm not even, I'm paying you and I'm running, and I'm not even financially able to even take care of myself like that, whatever. So that was a dub. So I decided to come back to Buffalo and train or whatever. That was going good. Got me a really nice job. But literally the moment I touched down, the bullshit started. Like, the girl I was supposed to be staying with, she literally didn't answer my calls when I was in the airport. So it's like, damn, I just moved back across the country. I'm homeless now. Thank God for Cam and Sabrina. Cam let me stay in her like dorm style situation on campus that was close to the school for free, because like, we was cool, we just went to college together and stuff like that. I just had left, while, so I think her junior year or something, whatever. So she, yeah, you can stay here, blah blah blah, there's no issue. Then fast forward, a situation happened, and then my sister ended up getting kicked out. So when my sister came to the same situation I was in, and it was just like, somebody already opened their door for me, now I'm extending it for you, that was an issue. So then I had to get my own place. Fast forward, so now I have to pay for rent, and I'm responsible for myself and my sister, because she wasn't working either. She, young, still was trying to, we don't even have our shit figured out. So, me being big sister, like, I'm like, okay, well, don't worry about it. Like, I'll figure it the fuck out. I'm not telling her this, but I'm telling myself, like, you know what, Asia, you'll figure it out. You figure it out. That was always my mindset with everything. Like, Asia, you'll figure it out. Asia, you'll figure it out. Even though I'm overwhelming myself, and I'm, digging hole deeper for myself, not even realizing I'm doing it. So, I stopped running at that point because I really couldn't afford the apartment, and the little bit of money that I did try to save, I already owing people money because I was in California barely making ends meet. So I'm owing those people. I owe my mom money because she paid for me to, get my stuff shipped from California to New York, and that was like $300 something. And now I got this apartment, security deposit, so all this stuff, plus can't sleep on the floor, at least if we got one mat. It just a bunch of stuff. So I stopped running. I got 2 full-time jobs. I was working 80 hours a week. I was working at Tim Hortons overnights from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then I was working at Time Warner before it became Spectrum from 8 a.m. to or 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then I didn't have a car, so I'm taking public transportation unless I can get a ride. So some days I wasn't getting any sleep because here are my hours. If I'm working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I have to take an hour and a half bus ride, I'm not getting home sometimes until 7:30, and then I have from 7:30 or 8 o'clock to hour and a half before I got to get ready for my night shift at Tim Hortons, and then vice versa, do it again. So fast forward, I'm sorry, it's just like all over the place. Fast forward, so I'm stressing myself out, still trying to remain happy, still trying to still have fun, still party, still all this other stuff, whatever. And then fast forward, one of my friends at the time, she graduated from college, and she wanted to go to Miami for her trip, for her graduation trip. And I didn't have it like that, but in my mind, Asia always finds a way to make stuff work, even if I gotta get a little here, get a little here. And then old people, I always try to. And it's not a way to live. You don't never want to have to, oh, let me just scribble here and scribble here and we're going to figure it out. And then I got all this I need to figure out on my own later. Terrible way to live, and just terrible. So, fast forward, I didn't really have the money for that, but I ended up figuring it out, my plane ticket and everything. So, when I worked in California, you got, it's around income tax season, whatever. Um, and when I first got back, I got a job immediately. So I didn't get a lot back in taxes. I think it was like I got back, I think, close to 1,000. But again, I owe people money. And one of the people that I owe money was going through their own personal stuff, and they like, yo, I helped you out, but I really need it right now. So when I got the one back, I don't know if it's state or federal, whatever one is usually the cheapest, I sent that to them. And I was like, I got more money, I'm working and stuff like that, whatever, we can work out something. It was an understanding. So I'm still waiting for, the other money to come. And I had put the money in my friend's account because, again, I know the type of person I am. And if I owe people, it's just like, oh, I'll pull here, and figure it out. And I didn't have a bank account at the time. So my friend was like, you could just get your stuff direct deposit to my account. And then when it comes, I'll give it to you. I understand. I know your situation, blah, blah, blah. So, months go by, and I'm like, hey, like, did the money come? It was like, oh, no, it never came. It didn't come yet. So now, I'm still scrambling, trying to, it's rent. I'm paying my rent late every month because, I'm dibbling dabbling trying to figure it out. But still, I still have RG&E. I'm still trying to figure out food, keep a roof over me and my sister's head. And again, just too much on my plate. And I know people might say, like, oh, why didn't you ask for help from other people? A lot of the people around me, in their situations, they were still trying to figure their stuff out. They was living with other people and stuff like that, trying to save their money so they could get on their feet. So it's not like, it's not like my pride is too high and asking people. Other people was, fucked up too. So, fast forward, now it's time for us to get ready to go this Miami trip. And I meet their dad, and everything was cool at first. I met him on Mother's Day in 2016, and I knew of him from when I was like 14, 15 years old. Never really, never was really interested in, in him like that at all, because he was doing shit and involved in shit that I necessarily wasn't into. I was in sports, I was always in extracurricular activities, and he was the opposite. I think he even had dropped out of school at the point. Not saying that anything is wrong with people who've done that, but that just wasn't my thing. Like, my thing is, I'm a 4.0 student. I'm trying to get a scholarship. I'm about my track shit. I'm traveling. I'm doing AAU. I'm athlete of the year. I'm breaking records. Like, it's just like total. So I never really paid attention to him or whatever. So Mother's Day, I was trying to surprise my mother for Mother's Day because her Mother's Day and her birthday just happened to land on the same day. So I think they had ended up giving him my number. my mom or something, and we got in contact, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll come and pick you up from Buffalo," and I was like, "Sure, cool, whatever." So he picked me up, conversing on the way, nothing serious. He was like, "Oh, you can drive the car." I'm like, "Cool, whatever." Picked me up in a Benz. Not that it impressed me at all. Some people are like, "Oh, he picked you up in this? Oh my God, bitch!" Yeah. I'm not into materialistic stuff like that. Like, my mom got food stamps, and we was getting government help when I was growing up. So it's not like, and I've dealt with people who have money, so I'm not a person who's very materialistic. Like if you see my videos or you see whatever, I come out here looking like however, I don't care. I'm not into shit like that. I'm not into the jewelry. I'm not into the big flashy. I'm not into none of that. So, I mean, it was a good, nice, thank you, baby. It was a good addition or a good, cool little thing, but it didn't really impress me.
This you call.
Thank you, baby. You just leave it right there. Mommy's recording right now. Thank you, baby. I'll be right in there, okay? Thank you.
So happy.
Yes, baby. So then, fast forward.
I see you tracking right there.
Wait a second. I'll be right back. Thank you. Go sit down, baby. I'll be right back. Here. You can have it.
Oh,
Thank you.
So much.
No problem, baby. So now, we talking and stuff like that. We're having a heart-to-heart in my mom's basement and stuff like that. And he's telling me all this cool stuff. He's speaking about God. He's like saying all this like, no. Give me. Mommy's recording right now. Do that in there. Thank you, baby. He's talking about all this stuff and wait a second. Okay. So we're having this great conversation in the basement or whatever, and I would just remember, everything he was saying had just really had hit home for me because I had just got out of a relationship, probably like, open the door for her. Let her out. Open the door for her. Let her out. I literally had just got out of a relationship a few weeks prior. I was dating somebody when I was in California, and obviously the distancing wasn't going to work, so we had broke up. So I already was in like a different headspace, and I knew I didn't want to be in a relationship, whatever, but everything that he was saying had hit home for me because it's like, dang, I remember, just a few weeks prior, just sitting in my room crying, like, how am I going to do this, when I'm going to figure it out, blah, 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 because I really had care for this person, because I feel and care deeply, especially if if I'm dating you or whatever, I care about you, so, that connection there for being cut off really hurt me. And then me being all the way here in New York, I couldn't do anything about it. So, that sucked. So having this conversation with him, I was really crying. I was really emotional and stuff like that, whatever. And then I remember him saying something like, yeah, your past don't mean nothing, blah, blah, blah. Like, I always felt XYZ about you and stuff like that. And I'm like, you're appreciative. Like, oh, yeah, no, boosting my head, boosting my confidence, making me feel really, really good. And then, but ultimately letting me know that if I ever needed him, I have him as a support to where I don't have to just be out here struggling. I don't have to whatever. And, that brought tears in my eyes because I've never had people like that in my life. Friends, none of that. Never had that. So remember him saying, like, oh yeah, your past don't mean nothing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And then I'm, in that moment, I'm willing to share because it's like, my past is my past. I'm not ashamed of it. There's things that I wish I could take back, but I can't. But if you want to know, cool. And he's like, nah, none of that matters. Boom, boom, boom. Fast forward. So then I remember being in my mom's house and his daughter handed me his phone, and he was like texting some girl talking about, oh yeah, oh, when I'm gonna be able to fuck and all this other shit again and all this crazy shit. And it's like I'm reading the messages, and this wasn't just the nigga I was talking to, and I'm like crying and shit because it's like, damn, bro, you really at first, you boosted my head. So I remember just feeling some type of way and crying. And it could have been because I was already emotional. It could have just been, because we had a good conversation and, I really took that shit to heart, whatever. But we sat in the car and we were talking. He was apologizing for all this crazy shit, blah, blah, blah. And literally a month later, I'm pregnant. So fast forward now, a month later, I'm pregnant, but let's back up. So that's the timeline of things, and I got pregnant right after that. Even though that should have been my first red flag. Like, damn, he's telling you one thing. His daughter brings you the phone, and you see it's something else. That should have been your call to like back up, you know. But maybe it was, you know, the conversation we had, and him saying that he would support and help me, so I wouldn't have to struggle as much, so I could really, you know, focus on my track. Because if anybody who knows me, like, even though I would say I didn't give track my 100%, but track is what kept me level headed, kept me out of trouble, kept me focused. Track was everything. Like, literally to this day, when people see me, they're like, Asia, are you still running? Asia, are you still running? Like, track was my life. I I've ran, like I said, I ran in the Olympic trials. I competed at nationals. I was All-American in college, 800-meter All-American in college, multiple records, facility records, athlete of the year in college, athlete of the year in high school, AGR. Like, I have so many accolades when it comes to just track alone, amongst other sports, but track was my life, you know? So having someone saying that they will help me to where I can get back to that, you know, that meant everything to me, because it's like, damn, track is what keeps and what kept me centered for so long. So boom, fast forward, it's time for the Miami trip, and me and him, you know, we was like hanging out and, you know, whatever. um it was another like little red flag. Like, I had my apartment, and like he started moving his stuff in, and I remember saying like, that's kind of weird. And I remember having a conversation with my friend, and she was just like, you know, gracious, no, mommy's recording right now. Can you bring it in the room, please? Thank you. And I just remember, you know, thinking like, oh, that's too much. But then again, I'm thinking like, nah, you know, it's cool. Like, I'm not tripping. Like, we've already established like what this is, and I'm not, you know, I'm not bugging out over it. So, but that could have been another red flag, but whatever. That's just me being naive and not trying to cause static and friction. Another thing about me, I don't like causing issues. Even if I'm uncomfortable, I'll let it slide if I can get over my uncomfortability, which is not good. It's always good to have boundaries, and I feel like I've always compromised my boundaries because I don't like issues. I don't like static. I don't like having those adult conversations with people when I'm uncomfortable, which is probably why I had to make a whole separate channel and vent to a camera. Okay. So, we go to the Miami trip and everything, and you know, he gives me some money for I think he gave me like maybe like $300, but I had some money too. And before I left for Miami, my landlord was trying to evict me, and I had the money. And then he even was like, oh nah, like, you know, see if we even give him 2-3 times the amount of rent, like, will he not evict you, whatever. And my landlord wasn't taking it. So, you know, before we left to go to, me and my friend, to go to Miami, you know, he was so generous enough to like, okay, well, let's go look at apartments and stuff or whatever. So we had looked for apartments and stuff like that because he had the money at the time. And, you know, he just really seemed gung-ho about, okay, well, he was trying to get himself out of his situation, and he was trying to help me with my situation, you know? So I'm like, okay, you know, whatever, we can look at this. Like, you got the money. Like, whatever you decide to do ultimately is your money. Like, that's you, you know. I just appreciate you, you know, stepping in a situation and wanting to help me out. Like, I'm getting back. God bless you. I'm getting back to, you know, my dream, what I moved back here for, you know. So find a place, whatever, blah blah blah. Take care of all that before we go to Miami. So we go to Miami, blah blah blah. And while we're down in Miami, things weren't all the way situated. So it was like, again, wait a second, baby. So it was again like, okay. Specifically, my friend didn't have a car situated for the trip, a rental. So it was, call him and see if he'll send you the money so we can get the car. So because he, you know, he's fucking with me, he really wants to fuck with me on that level. I think he deposited maybe $500 into her account in like less than an hour. He did that, and cool. We in Miami, chilling, blah blah blah. and had a good time. The whole time he's back in New York. He done moved my whole apartment for me into the new place, and everything, took care of everything. So I'm thinking in my head like, wow, Asia, you really hit the jackpot. This guy is really, really sweet, really, really nice. Like, he don't care what you've been through. He just really wants to help you out, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. So we get back from Miami, and I think that's when I got pregnant. Yeah, I got pregnant when we came back from Miami and stuff like that. And you know, things just really started to change after that. But it was like a prime opportunity for him, because when I got pregnant, literally everyone turned their back on me. My friend I went to Miami with kicked me out her house, didn't want nothing to do with me, blah blah blah. So I'm leaving out the house, walking down the street, looking real, looking real shitty. Um, my mom, everybody, oh, what about Trag, calling me on this all drama. It just, you know, a moment where I should be happy, I felt so alone. So to someone like him, this is a prime opportunity. She don't got nobody but me, you know. So and we still lived in Buffalo at this time, even though all my family, everybody was here in Rochester. We lived in Buffalo at this time. So, you know, that's when things just started to go left, you know. First incident that happened, and I'm not gonna blame everything on him. I'm not, because I'm definitely one of those people. Oh, stop playing, pop in the shoulder. I'm definitely one of those people, you know. And now I know, no, you don't do that, because some people were brought up and raised different, to where if a woman is playing with you like that, then that means she wants her ass beat. So had to learn that the hard way. But first time, you know, when things went left, we were having a pillow fight. Already pregnant at this point. Give her her ball, please. Give her her ball. We were having a pillow fight, and I think I, you know, might have hit him too hard with the pillow. So, you know, he taking the pillow and basically like punching me in my shit, but through the pillow. So I was bleeding, like my shit was leaking. So I'm like, you know, I'm leaving out the room, like, you know, talking shit or whatever. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm spitting. He come out of the room on some talking shit, and I had the blood and I spit it at him. Worst mistake I could have ever did. He beat my ass all through that fucking bathroom, literally grabbing me by my hair, anything, just boom, 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 beating my ass. I'm trying to run down the stairs. He's grabbing me by my hair, dragging me into the room. I'm screaming at this point, like, oh, please, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, because I've never been in no situation like that. I've never had no man full out just try to mangle my shit. I've never been in no situation like that. So I'm begging, I'm sorry, I'm apologizing, I'm trying to do anything. Can I please get some water? No, bitch, spitting on me, all this other crazy shit. Crazy shit. And then I just remember after that just being like, oh my God, but I stayed. But I stayed. Because again, at this moment, I don't have anybody. Where am I gonna go? I'll be right back. You have kids. So, fast forward, I remember, and this is the time I put my hands on him. I don't know what had happened, but he was on some bullshit. And I remember, you know, just full pledge, cocking my hand back and punching him dead in his mouth. Punched him dead in his shit. And I ran the fastest I probably ever ran in my life. Like, if I had ran how fast I ran that night, had I ran that fast when I was at the Olympic trials, I would have made the team. Like, hands down. I ran so fast, and I remember just going in the house and getting a knife, because I'm like, I know this thing is going to kill me, and I have to find a way to protect myself. But he ended up not coming to the house, and it just, you know, it was drama, and it just was always a mental game from then. You know, the pillow talks turned into, you know, question and answers, and if I wasn't given the right answer, then it was, oh, him threatening to leave and all this other stuff. And it's just like, damn, so I'm gonna have to raise this kid by myself and blah blah blah. I ain't have a phone, and when I did have a phone, if my family called, it was an issue. Everything was always an issue. So, you know, it was trickling little by little, you know. Anything that made Asia, wait a second, gracious, Mommy's recording a video. Can you not do that right now, please? You know, and that's just kind of when everything was started. But, you know, it was just so much mental abuse behind the scenes. I literally felt stuck. And, um, and then he used to use the Bible as a crutch or a leeway and say, oh, well, the reason why I'm doing this to you is because you're not saved, because you're not baptized. If you knew as much of the word as I did, then maybe this wouldn't be happening to you. You're bringing these demons into our relationship. And I'm alone. My family already done made it clear that they really not fucking with me. Um, you know, there was a time specifically where I'm pregnant still at this point. Um, my mom wasn't talking to me for, oh, I know why she wasn't talking to me. I remember I tried to call her, and this was when he was already, you know, whooping my ass and stuff like that. I remember calling her, and I was just so frustrated as to why she would even give him my number. And a lot of people can have their own personal opinions about it, but in my opinion, um, their dad had really bad lead as a child, and he got a lead check, and it was for $500,000. And then after he paid his lawyers off, I think he ended up with like 200,000 and stuff like that. So a lot of people knew how much money he had, but again, none of that should matter to me. What mattered to me was you are willing to step in my situation, and you know, I was still working, you know, I had my job, but you're willing to help me so I could focus on track. I didn't care about, oh, I never asked him, oh, pay all the bills, oh, pay all this. Like, it was none of that. Even when while I was pregnant, I was still working 40 hours a week, and if I can get overtime, I could at Nike in Buffalo when I was pregnant with Gracious. Like the day my water broke on Valentine's Day, I was supposed to go to work, but I didn't because my water broke. You know, I worked the entire time, so it never was, oh, you got all this money, I'm gonna just sit back and be a lazy bitch. That's never been me. I always stayed with 2 jobs minimum, even in college. So in Cali, 4 job, you know, like I always like to have my own money and income because, again, I grew up, I'm not gonna say in the struggle, but I grew up having to go without, and I don't like having to go without. If I want something, I want to get it, and I don't want to have to hesitate or scramble, blah blah blah. You know, so that just was my mindset, and you know, a lot of people knew that he got that money, so I mean, other people could attest to it, but I feel like the reason why, you know, they gave him my number was because, like, okay, well, if he gets with Asia, um, therefore, like, he'll look out for me too, type shit. So I kind of felt like I was set up a little bit. And then now that I'm pregnant, everybody don't want shit to do with me, and I'm like here by myself and whatever. So I remember calling her and being mad at her, and I did raise my voice. I didn't call her out her name, none of that. Like, I've never, you know, disrespected my mother that way, but I just remember being mad at her, like, why would you do that, and da da da, and whatever. So she was mad at me. She wasn't talking. So I remember going to her house because when he was preaching his little Bible stuff, he was saying like, oh, if the Bible says you gotta forgive people and then go back again or something, and then if they don't, then that's their own whatever. So I'm like, okay, are you right? So I'm like, okay, because I was gonna wash my hands with the situation because me and my mom's relationship isn't the best. It's always been up and down, up and down. It's been like that my whole life. So it's just like, okay, this is just another episode. I'll talk to her in a year or 6 months whenever she, whatever. So I remember she lived in this apartment with this balcony. And I remember climbing the balcony. Again, I'm pregnant. I'm climbing up the balcony, hanging from her thing, literally about to fall. Like, Mom, can you open the door? And she's looking at me, smoking her cigarette, giving me the nastiest look. And I just, you know, I just dropped down, just crying. It's just like, I'm really out here in Buffalo by myself, getting my ass beat. And I have no one. I have no one. So I'm feeling even more alone. So in my head, I'm telling myself, okay, Asia, Well, maybe if you learn the Bible more, he won't be doing this to you. Maybe it is your fault that all these things are happening to you, which is all wrong. Then, it'd be the sexual abuse. If I'm not willing to do certain stuff with him when he wants it, then, you know, then I'm getting threatened with this, or I'm getting choked until I can't breathe. Choked to where, choked so long and so hard to the point where when he's done and my eyes are open, I can't see. I can't see yet, type shit. But I stayed because I felt like I didn't have anywhere else to go. And at that point, I didn't give a fuck about my life anymore. I didn't care anymore. I didn't care anymore. So, that went on up until CPS got involved, thankfully. And yeah, but that's just the beginning of it, and it's just been shitty. It's just been so shitty these past 4 years. I've left and I've gone back, and I've left and I've gone back, and I've left and I've gone back, and I've left and I've gone back. And I've been gone for a little over a month now. I haven't drank. I haven't smoked. Nothing. I've been completely sober. I've been on a 10-day fast. No food, no water. No, I did an Esther fast for the first 3 days is no food, no water. And then the other 7 days I did water and juice. Just so I could try to get reconnected, because I don't want to go back this time. Even now he's still texting me, if you're not willing to have a mouthful of cock and all this stuff, fuck you, bitch. You don't know who the fuck you dealing with. You don't deserve to be in my presence. You a prostitute. You a hoe. All this other stuff. And it's just like, I sit here and I cry because I don't deserve no shit like that. Always asking me, questions about my past or me being raped. Well, you didn't call the police on this person, so that wasn't really rape. You must have liked it. So since I did that to you, let me guess, you gonna call the police and tell them I raped you too, huh? Well, the reason why this person handled you this way, because it's like, oh, if you let this person fuck, then I should be able to rape you too. Who gives a fuck? And I'm like, I wasn't that person. I wasn't that person. And it's just so hard for somebody to just say such terrible things about you. And I feel like these 4 years I've just been defending my character for somebody that I'm not, and it's so hard. I just want to run away. I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to move away out of Rochester. I need to get out of Rochester for my own mental health. I get so angry. And then, when I was saying in the beginning of the video, I think my daughter has a sixth sense. Because we in the middle of arguing, he's saying all these nasty things to me, whatever. And I went to go pick up my phone, and my daughter's like, Mommy, put your phone down. Put your phone down. So I put it down. And she was like, good job, Mommy. And then like 30 seconds later, she said, you okay, Mommy? You okay? Are you happy? Good job, Mommy. Good job. Then another reason why I say I think she has a sixth sense is my youngest daughter, Sita. We've been on an uphill journey for the past 2 years with her health. She has congenital heart disease, but this past year she's had 2 open heart surgeries and stuff. But during her first heart surgery back in like May, we were in Boston, whatever, and I had Gracious with me. Asia Mommy, Asia mommy, Gracious mommy and Sita. It's just always us. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and out of nowhere, Gracious is jumping on the bed, and she's like, Mommy Sita, Sita crying, Sita crying. Is Sita okay? Is Sita okay? I'm like, what's she talking about? I'm like, yeah, Sita's okay. She's okay. She's at the hospital, blah, blah, blah. Then the next day, well, that same day, we go in, and they're saying, yeah, around 4 o'clock in the morning, we had a really hard time waking her up. We think she might have had a seizure. She was like unresponsive. She was alive, but unresponsive and stuff like that. And I'm looking at Grace just like, how the fuck? Like, they're not really twins. They're Irish twins. They're only a year apart, but she's very in tune. And then another time, we're sitting there, and Gracious is like, Sita's cord, because Sita has she doesn't take anything by mouth. She has a G tube, so all her feeds and all her medicine, she's like connected to a cord with a little bag and stuff. And she's like, Mommy, Sita, cord. She pulled her cord out. And Sita was not even nowhere near us. And I go to Sita, and she had her whole thing was out. And it's just like, how did you know that? And we're all the way up here, So I'm gonna say she's like my angel, and she definitely has a gift. But I'm just, there's so much other things that's going on with this dude, and I don't want to have any hate in my heart. When I talk to him, he just talks to me so nasty. It's easy for me to go back and say hateful things, or it's just easy for me to get beside myself. And I just don't understand how someone could be so nasty to somebody. Like, his issue now is he's always asking me about the people I was with before him. And I'm like, bro, he was, oh, you're a liar, you're a snake, you're this and this and that. Oh, he just was fucking you and you wasn't his girlfriend. He wants me to DM these people and ask them certain questions. He, it's gone way past the obsessive stage. At this point, it's scary. He demeans my character, says all these crazy nasty things about me. Like, if I wasn't recording on my phone, I could show you. Says all these crazy, most disgusting things about me. If I wasn't sure that I wasn't doing those things, and the person that he's describing in those text messages, that's a nasty ass individual. And I'm not her. And for so many years, he tried to make me be that person. And I feel like that's why I was so angry so much. I was drinking every day, having to smoke every day. You were doing this to these niggas, and they were busting all over your face, and niggas was fucking you for money, and I'm like, well, if I was having sex with all these people for money, why was I always struggling? If I'm having sex with all these people for all this money, then I should be straight. Like, a girl ain't about to be out here selling pussy and be broke. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And then I think it's just so hard for him to believe that somebody could love me without me having to sell my soul, because that's really honestly what it's been for these past 4 years. Anything that he wanted me to do, I would do it, even if I was uncomfortable, because I was so scared of him. If I don't do this, then you're going to get angry and you're probably going to put your fucking hands on me. So I'm in survival mode at this point, So in order to, therefore, remove my mind from my body, I'm getting drunk. I'm smoking. I'm drinking. If you guys ever are familiar with Four Locos, I'm drinking 14% alcohol, Four Locos. I'm drinking 2 of those in an hour and a half. So, on an empty stomach. So, just so I can not feel disgusting about myself, to do something with somebody who disrespects me so much, to where I'm feeling like a prostitute, and that's just what my life had become. It wasn't. I'm looking at I can't even say looking at myself in the mirror because I wasn't even looking at myself anymore because I couldn't recognize the bitch I was looking at. But I'm in autopilot because I still got to take care of my daughters. You know, like I said, my youngest baby it's been a journey for these past 2 years. And now she has seizures. So it's been a journey. And I've been so alone. And nobody understands. I don't get time to myself. I don't have that luxury. I can't work right now because, or if I could work, I have to train somebody to take care of my baby because there's a lot that comes with her, especially now that she has seizures. Different cries mean different things. Different body movements mean different things. Like I said, she has tubes. If her tube comes out, how do you put it back in? How do you take the water out? How much water do you put in? If she has a seizure, how much diazepam do you put? How do you put the diazepam rectally? How do you do it? It's just so much that comes with her, and I'm okay because I'm built for it, and I know God wouldn't, give me anything that I can't handle. But it just sucks because I did this to myself. And it's so sad to say. This morning, that was having an episode. This morning, that was having an episode. And it only happens, and I swear on my life, when me and him are arguing and that negative energy is therefore around me and in me or around him or stuff like that, something always happens with her. Mommy's okay. Something always happens. So I had to talk to him. There was no arguing in a minute. And, yesterday we started arguing, and this morning she has an episode. She has an episode where I think she's about to have a seizure and stuff. And in my head, I'm immediately thinking, like, maybe God's punishing me because maybe everything he's saying about me is right. Maybe I am a nasty ass person. And I'm like, nah, that's not right. You can't sit there and let people speak negative things on your life and you start believing it about yourself. So I'm just struggling. I'm just really struggling to love myself. I just know what I deserve. It's okay, baby. You don't have to cry.
Mommy made me so sad.
I apologize. It's okay. It's just I've been through a lot and I'm here for a reason. And it just sucks that shit wouldn't be this bad if I loved myself.
You come, Mommy?
No, I'm okay. If I would have loved myself a long time ago, none of this would have been happening. I tell myself that the way he's talking about me is just a reflection of how he feels about himself inside, and it just sucks. But I'm just gonna get off here right now because I'm just gonna keep talking about the same shit. It's just, I've been through a lot and I want better for myself. Currently, me and my kids are homeless. We're homeless. We are without a home. We're staying with someone else. And he can assure me that, oh, you guys can come back here. You guys can come back here. But it's just like, at what cost? I'm going to have to sell my soul. I'm going to have to do things with you that I don't feel comfortable doing. I'm gonna have to answer questions about situations that I'm over, but you've reopened those wounds. So now I'm having to re-heal from those things. I'm having to remember things that I've forced myself to forget. And then if I don't remember it the right way, I'm a liar, I'm this, I'm just the most disgusting, hateful things. The most disgustful, hateful things. If any of you guys have ever, that was Sita's alarm. If any of you guys have ever been raped or molested or taken advantage of, that's not something you want to think about. And if you share those things with your partner or with somebody that you trust, um, and for them to constantly bring it up or throw it in your face, it's kind of like being in that situation over and over and over again. And even though those situations happened to me once over the past 4 years, it feels like it's happened to me thousands of times. So, like, at times I feel so messed up in the head. Like, I just want to be better for my girls. I want to be better so I don't feel like I have to tolerate anything from anybody who doesn't have my best interest at heart. But okay. Oh, and then another thing I failed to mention, because my thoughts were kind of just everywhere over the place. Um, I know I had mentioned that I was asking my friend about the tax money before we had went on the trip, and she ended up, never really telling me anything about that. But when we got back, after I'm already pregnant at this point, already done moved into this place, before things started getting too off the wall, I had logged into my TurboTax because I had filed my own taxes and seen that the money had came months before, like even before I got hit with the eviction. So, there were so many times and days I would just be sitting there and just be like, damn, like, had she given me that money, like, I wouldn't even had to even feel the need to accept help. And now that we live in this place, this really, like, he done put in the security deposit. Like, even though, like, I'm making my money from my job, like, this nigga got 6 figures and stuff like that. He done put up majority for the house and stuff like that. So this really his shit. Vice versa, like, if it was my shit, I could tell a nigga, like, get the fuck out. So yeah, I forgot to add that. I mean, I don't have any bad feelings or ill feelings towards her, but it's just certain people in this situation that I just feel like I just really had got set up, like, between her and then my mom's and his people, and then just everything, how it just all worked out. It was just so many days I would just sit there and cry and be like, damn, I really got set up. Like, I feel like Satan set me up. But I can laugh about it now because I mean, it is what it is. Like, nobody told me to stay, after I got all the red flags and stuff like that. But I decided to because, whatever, my own insecurities and my own things that I didn't want, not like I said, I didn't want to just be a baby mom. I'm embarrassed because partly, like, of all the people I could have got pregnant by, or, just all the thoughts that run in your head, like, damn, you always think of, I always thought in my head, like, well, Asia, you're an athlete, so you're going to have a baby with an athlete and you're going to just live this fantastic professional athlete life where you're a professional athlete, he's a professional athlete, and you guys, everyone comes and watch mommy run at the Olympics, and everybody goes to his sports games and watch him compete. That always just was my dream and my imagination for myself. So when now I'm a mom and I'm having a baby by a man I barely even know, in my Usher voice, You know, I kind of felt embarrassed about my whole situation. And then, you know, like I said, you know, not having the support around me from my family and my friends, you know, definitely didn't make uh, anything better. But we can get more into that in my next thing. I really don't feel like talking and venting anymore. I'm emotionally and mentally exhausted, but I do feel a lot better getting that out. That cry definitely made me feel a lot better. I just needed to come back and recollect myself and just touch on something I know I didn't touch on because my mind and my emotions just was everywhere. But okay, see you in the next episode of Asia Unplugged. I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. Unedited.